welcome to the Crooked Letter Sports Podcast, the show about Mississippi sports and the folks who play them. I'm Tyler Cleveland, joined always by my dad and co-host, Rick Cleveland. Dad, how was the weekend?
Weekend was pretty good.
You were in New Orleans for most of it?
Yes, I'm probably gained 5 or 6 pounds.
I was about to say you probably ate your way from one side of the city to the other. What's the best thing?
Oh, man, we had a great meal at a little restaurant in the uptown called Patois.
It's the most New Orleans-sounding restaurant I've ever heard of.
Well, it is really, really good.
A little place uptown called Patois. You sound European almost, but you know, with
a Hattiesburg accent.
Yeah, I don't doubt at all that it was outrageous good. Dad, a good weekend of football, especially for the Ole Miss Rebels, who picked up a big win over Oklahoma. We were talking a little bit about it off air. I know you didn't get a chance to watch as much as I did, but it was the first time in my life where I looked at the two teams playing and thought, Ole Miss is just better. They're just more talented than Oklahoma is. And it came out at the end, you know, that they were able to kind of pull away. Had a chance to really put them away there in the fourth quarter. Ball didn't come out of Dart's hand a little quick. He had wide open Juice Wells for a touchdown that would have given them like a 3-touchdown lead in the fourth quarter. I tell you what, for all the setbacks they've had, this is still a really, really talented Ole Miss team.
Oh, absolutely. You know, of course, they got to run the table to make the playoffs. And, boy, first they got to win.
They got to get past Arkansas.
They got to win at
Fayetteville. Can't look ahead to Georgia.
Yeah. But then eventually, you know, it's got to include a victory over Georgia, and that's a tall task. But I'll tell you this, what you said in your opening about the Ole Miss-Oklahoma game, the thing that strikes me is that, hell, Ole Miss just has better players than Oklahoma.
They do. The big thing, I think, and the Achilles heel for Ole Miss right now looks like offensive line. I mean, and I say that with a caveat. If Nolan is not healthy, because I know he came out of that game Saturday. If he's not healthy, then it changes everything for them defensively. But offensively, I feel like offensive line got to find a way to establish the run a little bit more and take a little bit off of Jackson Dart's shoulders, especially in these big games against some of the best teams in the country, because those problems seem to exacerbate in those kind of games.
And also, they need to get Trey Harris back. I mean,
big
gosh
time.
almighty, you know, the freshman at Alabama is maybe the best receiver I've ever seen. But Harris is an elite receiver who's going to be a big-time NFL player, and they need him.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Dad, elsewhere, we have not mentioned on the show the situation at Southern Miss. Quickly, your thoughts. I mean, they parted ways with Coach Will Hall last week, and you know, we didn't get to it on the show. I think a lot of people want to hear from you on this. You know, my take is just a good guy, didn't work out, and not really sure where they go from here. But, I mean,
you're right. Great guy. You know, when they hired him, I thought it was a great hire. And he did a lot of things right, but he didn't win enough games. And, it's a bottom-line business. I happened to play golf last week with his daddy, Bobby, and Bobby very philosophic about it. You know, my son is a good man, a good coach, but there's a bottom line in this business, you know. It didn't work out.
Yeah, I mean, I thought some of the moves they made were the right ones. It's always, for me, it always comes back to the same. It's an offensive line issue.
Well, that's a big part of it, but yeah. There were other areas on the team that where the talent, it just isn't good enough.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. I just feel like if you can establish the run a little bit, it kind of masks so many other deficiencies, and they never could do it.
Yeah, you're right. The other thing, what really surprised me, you know, just watching them, is that the team speed overall is just average, maybe not even average in the Sun Belt.
Yeah. Well, hard to win in modern college football without that.
No, you got to have it.
Yeah. Before we get to our guest today, who is Hattiesburg High football coach Tony Vance, a friend of both of ours and the coach of the Mississippi-Alabama All-Star team, we want to touch a little bit about on the Saints are now lost 6 in a row. I'm numb to it at this point. When I wake up on Sunday morning, I'm not even jazzed anymore. But they should get Derek Carr back. I mean, do you think it'll make a difference? And are you all in on tanking for the number 1 pick?
No, not in that division. If you got hot, I mean, if they got hot, I still think that they could compete in that division. I mean, hell, look at Atlanta is in first place.
Oh, I know. And Tampa doesn't look half bad. I don't know. I feel like they would have to start winning immediately and not lose for a little while before I could give myself a glimmer of hope. 6 in a row. I mean, this is like, it's been, 2005?
Yeah, well, Tyler, they're just a shell of the team that opened the season. I mean, our two teams, boy, the teams that you and I watch on our TV and pull for the
Braves
and the Saints it's just been emergency room situation all year long.
You're right. Yeah, I do want to touch on the MLB. We're recording this on Tuesday morning. The Dodgers are up 3-0 in the series over the Yankees. I don't think this is going to work out well for the boys from the Bronx.
No, but how about Freddie Freeman?
I know. I'm laying in bed at night touching my photo of Freeman and just reminiscing about what could have been. And not that I'm upset with Matt Olson. He's a fantastic player. I'm glad we got him. But I really thought Freddie was going to be a lifer, and it does suck to see him just absolutely balling out for the Dodgers.
Yeah, but he's just such a clutch player. I always think of him meeting him in the clubhouse out at Trustmark Park. He's 19 years old and just a kid. I mean, I don't think he was even shaving at the time. And
so he didn't look like a total goon at the time, because he looks like a goon now. He looks like a hockey goon.
No, he looked like a big, overgrown, kind of clumsy kid at that time.
Yeah, that Freddie Freeman is pretty impressive. Shohei Ohtani, too. The Dodgers are just loaded, and I hate them.
Well, I'm pulling for him because of Freddie.
Yeah. Well, more power to you, buddy. I want to switch gears back to football, Dad. We've got an exciting guest on the show today, as I mentioned earlier, Tony Vance, head coach of your Hattiesburg High Tigers.
That's right, my Hattiesburg High Tiger. Hey, listen, they're a lot better than they were back when I was in school there.
Well, Tony he's a big reason why. So, without further ado, let's bring in Hattiesburg High and Mississippi All-Star coach Tony Vance. Let's bring in our guest today, Tony Vance, head coach of the Hattiesburg High Tigers, who are off to a fantastic start in this football season. And Tony, this year coaching the Mississippi-Alabama All-Star game, so a fantastic guest for us to have. Tony, thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thanks, guys, for having me. Not only do I get Hall of Famer Rick Cleveland, but I get his son on the same podcast, so that's pretty special for me.
Well, it's good to see you. I hadn't been down there for a game this year. I caught y'all twice last year. I was really impressed with the bunch you have, but boy, y'all have seemed to have grown by leaps and bounds even since then. So congratulations on all your success. How you feeling about it?
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Kudos to our players. We're fortunate to have a great group of players this year. We have 27 seniors on this football team, so we have a senior-laden football team. But we got a good mixture of underclassmen as well. So, but a great group, and these guys put in the work to put themselves in the position they're in. Obviously, they brought into what we're selling, and they always help us.
Tyler, they're 8-0.
Yeah.
I mean, they are, and the last few games haven't been close. I was there for your homecoming. It's my homecoming, as you well know. Yeah. I'm class of 7-0, Hattiesburg High, and I'll just say this. I've never seen a game get out of hand that quick. Y'all were up 21-0 with just over 2 minutes into the game.
Yeah, it did. My son asked me the next day, Dad, you ever had a game happen like that? And I thought about it. I said, no, I haven't. We scored on the first 3 offensive snaps of the game. So, yeah, it was pretty – it got out of hand pretty quickly, Rick.
Yeah. Don't you wish you had more games like that?
Well, it depends on what part of the season you're in. I'm just being honest. I've been fortunate to have some games like that, too many of them. And I think back to 2012 season when we was at Charleston, and I don't think we had a competitive game the last 6 weeks of the season, and that's including the playoffs. And I think we won the North had championship game against Cleveland Eastside that year, 56-0. And we got into the state championship game, and we hadn't been tested in about 6 or 7 weeks. And I thought they came back to bite us in the butt. So you have to be careful with that, man. And, you want your guys to play and get better each and every week. And it's hard for them to get better if they're not on the field.
You're not going to have that problem this year because of that November 7th showdown at So-So against West Jones.
No, we hadn't had that problem in a lot of years, trust me.
Yeah. Well, before that, you're actually coming to the metro area Friday night.
Yeah.
Playing a pretty good Terry team. They're 6-2. You're going on the road. It's a little bit different than the last few games you've played.
Yeah. Well, definitely, Coach Stickman's done a great job up there at Terry, man, and they've got some really good players. They've got college players each and every year that's coming out of Terry High School, and so those guys are going to be talented. They're going to play hard. I understand it's their senior night, and so we expect nothing less than an A game. So we understand that we have to bring our A+ game to give ourselves a chance to walk out there with a victory.
Before we go any further, man, the guy that I was really impressed with when I was down there for your homecoming game is your son, quarterback. Deuce. Man, he can go.
Yeah. The kid's worked really hard to put himself in position to, be where he is. I've had a chance to watch it firsthand, when the lights were off or, when it wasn't any fans in the stand and, when it was just me and him up here in the weight room or out there on the field or even in the backyard. Just working, so he's worked extremely hard. Obviously the track has really, made him grow leaps and bounds, becoming a track athlete and really excelling in track has really helped him on the football field. And, obviously he's put on some weight and, so he's up to about 185 now. So, we're pretty pleased with his progress and where he is. But he still understands, and I understand that, there's still so much more growth that, he can experience that we're hoping that he get a chance to tap into all that potential before his high school career is over.
Well, he's your quarterback, and yes, he could play several positions. I'm guessing his speed's got to be around 4.4 or something like that. I mean, he can really run.
Yeah, he ran a 4.43 this summer, and, he may have gotten a little faster. But, you watch his film, he looks fast on film. He plays fast. So, again, he's one of those guys that's put the work in and put himself in position where he is and, just went through the growing pains and, the bumps and bruises, the ups and downs of playing the quarterback position. And, he looks like a different kid for us this year.
Tony, you guys look like the best team in the Pine Belt. I'm looking at you beat Petal, you beat Oak Grove, beat Laurel. I don't know if you count Sumrall. How does it feel to have a team like that at this point, especially with your son, being a senior? How fun has it been to run down that schedule and kind of pay everybody back?
Well, it's been fun. One of our team goals every year is to beat our rivals, and we have some built-in rivals here at Hattiesburg. None bigger than Laurel for Liberal Brown Jug, but obviously with our neighbors to the east and west and Petal and Oak Grove, it's a big rivals for our kids and, a lot of bragging rights to go into that, and both of those teams have gotten the best of us over the years, but, so anytime you can beat both of them in the same year, it's obviously, felt in your cap, so to speak. So, but our kids, again, they put in a lot of work to put themselves in the position they're in, and, they've done what we've asked them to do up to this point. But definitely, it's a good feeling to know that, hey, we've beaten our rivals this year, so we can check that one off on our team goal board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I'm the receiver, the Tristan Keys, I'm sending that tape of that Oak Grove game to every college recruiter in the country. He had a big game. But you got so much talent around Deuce. How did that all come together? Did it just happenstance that it just kind of came together this year? I know you've got a defensive lineman that is rated among the top players in the state. And as I mentioned, Keys is just an incredible player. But then along the offensive line, you guys are pretty stacked. How did this all come together?
Well, those guys have been playing with each other a long time. First and foremost, we had one guy move in this year, Tyree Barnett, but for the most part, those other guys have been playing with each other since, middle school or even ninth grade. So they built a great camaraderie amongst themselves. They've seen each other blood, sweat, and tears in the weight room and on the field, and that certainly helps. But we do have some talented kids this year. I think, a lot of credit goes to our players for, putting in the work. But, I have to give a lot of credit to our coaches for developing those guys and, keeping them right here in Hattiesburg and making sure this is where they wanted to be. And kudos to our parents for trusting our coaches with those young men. And, obviously, in today's society, it's not a big deal for parents to pick up and move, And so we've been fortunate that our parents have stayed right here in Hattiesburg. And so, kudos to our parents for trusting us with their players.
Tony, I'm having a senior moment. The left tackle, your offensive left tackle.
Amari and Breland. He's
okay.
Yeah.
Tyler, I walked in the locker room. I always like to visit with Tony when I get down there, and walked in there, and somebody introduced me, said, I'm going to go get a player I want to introduce you to. And he goes in the dressing room and brings him out, and he had to duck to get down through the door. He's 6'9", 285?
He's 6'9", yes. Yes, sir. He is. He's a specimen. He is, man. I tell him all the time, look, man, God did his part, dog. He's giving
you do yours.
But great kid, man. He's really putting a lot of work, man, to get stronger. And, he'll be one of those players that, plays on Saturday and, may have a chance to play on Sunday, but he's one of those guys. When you look at him, like, wow, you're going to look up at him. I don't care how tall you are. You're going to look up at him. He's 6'9", and it's crazy. He grew 3 inches over the course of last year. He started the season last year. He was 6'6". We had his older brother played for us as well, and they were about the same height. And by the end of about May, when May rolled around, his brother graduated. He was still 6'5", 6'6", and Mario grew to 6'9". So just to see him grow within a 9-month period was crazy.
Well, I don't do this.
Awesome player for us.
Yeah, I don't do this very often, but I went to him on the sidelines and got a buddy of mine to take our picture together. And I come up to about his chest. I mean, he is a massive human being.
Yeah, he is, man. Great player for us. He really become a leader for us on the offensive line, man. He's heart and soul of our offensive line. And like I said, man, somebody's going to get themselves a really, really good football player.
Well, who is recruiting? I mean, somebody's got to be just on potential.
He's got several. Yeah, he's got several offers, man. He doesn't have a Power 4 offer right now, but he's got several Sunbelt offers, and he's got offers from. I know UAB last week. He got offered UAB last week, but he's drawn several interest from several Power 4 programs. And so hopefully somebody will pull the trigger on him pretty soon.
Well, Tony, let's talk about this being the coach of the Mississippi-Alabama All-Star team, because that's something I feel like is a big honor for a coach to be asked to do that. But it's got to be a grueling process trying to, pick, the best seniors in the state. I mean, it's something that I do. I used to do for Scorebook Live all the time, was trying to rank players, and it's really, really hard. You get down to the nitpicking there at the end, and it can be really tough. You just kind of talk about that process and how it's going?
Well, definitely. It's a grueling process, man. It's something we started on right after we named our coaching staff back in the spring. We started evaluating film, reaching out to college coaches, reaching out to coaches, at those respective players' high schools, trying to find out what type of guy they were. So we feel like we've done our homework. And I'm going to tell you, I think it was more players nominated this year than ever before, according to our MAC office. We have 500 players nominated. So I think that speaks volume for the level of talent here in the state of Mississippi this year. And that's just seniors, So, a great pool of guys to pull from. And I tell people all the time, I've been a part of this game. I think it's been my 4th time being a part of this game. And every year there's going to be really good players that don't make the roster. Mm-hmm. And it's not that they're not good enough, but, there are certain guidelines and restrictions that you have to go by. And so sometimes that plays a role and a factor in who gets picked and who doesn't get picked. And then it goes into scheme and what do you want to do, and who do the coaches think, fit their scheme the best and, what those guys have to bring to the table. And it doesn't mean the ones that wasn't picked wasn't really good players. But that's just part of it. And that's the grueling task of it, when you're the head coach and, when you have to try to put your staff together. And I think that's the one thing that I'd be remiss if I didn't mention those guys, because I'm going to tell you, I think every year those guys are coaching those games, obviously are all-star coaches, but I think we put together, in my opinion, one of the best staffs to ever go over and have a chance coaching that game. And, I list those guys real quick. I start on the offense side of the ball. Drew Collins, head coach of Oak Grove, state championship winning coach. He's the offensive line coach and offensive coordinator. Randall Montgomery, state championship winning coach. He'll coach receivers. Marcus Boyles, Hall of Famer. He'll coach the running backs. So those guys, and Dylan Mitchell, he's won a state championship. When he was at Louisville with Tyrone Shorter, he'll coach the quarterback. So those guys will be on the offense side of the ball. So a lot of state championship appearances and rings on that side of football. On the defense side of the ball, Lewis Sims, head coach at Pascagoula, will coach the outside backers, and he's the defensive coordinator. Derek Hooker at Hollandale Simmons, he'll coach the inside backers. Tyrone Shorter, I think I lost count how many state championships he's won, but he'll coach the secondary. And LaDon Taylor, he's the head coach at Charleston, just recently won a state championship. He'll coach the defensive line. And Ryan Ernest, won a couple of state championships in his own right. He'll be our scout coach. So, tremendous staff. And, big part of it, for me, was just getting those guys and letting them do their job. So, we wanted those guys to have full autonomy over who they picked to play the position they were coaching. And so they did that, and they did a great job of doing the homework and picking the guys they thought fit what we wanted to do. What
is the rule on how many players can play from one school?
Yeah, so the most players you can have from one school is 3. You can only have 3 players from 2 schools. The most any school's going to get is 3, and you only have 2 schools that's going to have 3. After that, you got to have 1 player from each classification, 1A through 7A. So you have to have at least 1 player in 1A all the way through. So the 1A guys, 2A guys are not left out this game. So you're going to have a player from 1A through 7A. And then you have to have 1 player from each of the geographical regions, 1 through 8. So from the top of North Mississippi all the way down to the coast, you have to have at least 1 player from each region. So those are the things that a lot of people don't know that goes into picking players. So you have a checklist that you have to go down. Okay, where is this player from? All right, what school's that? What region are they in? What classification they're in? And at the end, you have to make sure you check and see, hey, we checked all those boxes. We got somebody from every classification, and we have somebody from every region. And we only have 2 schools that have 3 players on it.
Yeah. Well, luckily, the 1A, 2A thing won't kill you in Mississippi because, good grief, we got some of the best small town players in America. Yeah. The running back from Velma Jackson comes to mind. So, I covered the game down in Hattiesburg last year, and I remember at the last second, Alabama added a player who had reclassified at the last second, named Ryan Williams. And I knew from covering a little bit of Alabama ball how important he was going to be, and I think he ended up scoring 3 touchdowns in the game. But and he's gone on to be, the star freshman in college football this year. So it just kind of shows you what kind of talent you can expect to face and produce in this game. So I know it's a tall task, but it's a great weekend for the kids. Can you just kind of tell people, because people just see the game on Saturday, they don't see the week leading up, and I know that's such a big deal for the coaches and the players. Can you just kind of walk us through what that week is like?
Well, I tell you what, man, it's a great weekend. They treat those guys all like 5 stars, and they treat them all like Division I football players, and they're all celebrities that week. I guarantee you. But a big part of it, you get together and you pick them up and you meet and you travel over to Alabama this year. We'll be traveling to Alabama and you get checked into your hotel, you get settled, and from then on, it's pretty much. It's a lot of work going on. I'm just being honest. So it's not a lot of downtime. So you'll have their first practice that Tuesday night from 7 to about 9. And once you finish practice, you'll have a snack for them and, try to get them into bed. And they'll be up early the next morning about 6 for breakfast. And we'll be leaving the hotel about 7:30, headed to practice. And we'll practice from about 9 to 11, that morning. Then you have lunch from 11:30 to about 1:30, 11 to 1, I'm sorry. And then you practice from about 1 to 3. You go back and you shower, and then you go, and they got activities planned each and every night that keeps them up to about 9, 10 o'clock. So there's not a lot of downtime. They truly get to see what it's like being a college athlete, at that level. So it's a really, really enjoyable experience for all those guys, for our coaching staff. It's a busy time. Definitely, but we do have time to kind of get together and pick each other's brains on some football stuff, and that's the fun part I always look forward to. Having these type of coaches on this staff is just trying to pick up a little nugget from guys like a Marcus Boyles or guys like that, Tyrone Shorter, and some things they do in their programs, ways they run their practices. So it's always fun, and as a coach, man, I'm always trying to steal ideas from other guys to get better myself.
How many times have you coached in this game, Tony?
This will be my 4th time. My first time in it, Jamie Mitchell was the head coach. I was the receivers coach. Coached some pretty good players. one of those guys in the NBA now, Terrence Davis, was a receiver on that staff. Raphael Leonard. We had some really good guys on that team, coaching receivers. The second time I was in it, we had some pretty good players on that team too. I was offensive coordinator. Henry Johnson was the head coach. We had, John Rice Plumlee, Snoop Connor, KJ Jefferson. I can go on and on, man. We had some really good players on that staff. And we sit there at lunch and we started counting as a staff, how many guys here realistically have a chance to play in the NFL. And I think we counted 13 guys. And I think out of those 13 guys, there's about 9 off that team that are in the NFL that was just on the Mississippi team or made it to the NFL. So last year I was a scout coach, which was my 3rd time being in the game. So this will be my 4th time being in this game.
What's your record?
Well, if you ask me, I'm 2-1, but 2-2. I'm sorry, 2-1 because the first year we won it, and you may remember this, Rick. We led the game, and we was over in Alabama, and they threw a ball in the end zone. Last play of the game, our DB got the ball intercepted. The ref called a touchdown for Alabama, and they ran off the field. I don't know if you remember that or not. That was my first time coaching in that game. But I'll never forget that, man. We intercepted the ball. We get up with the ball, holding it up, and the ref called the touchdown and ran off the field. Of course, we was in Alabama. So, that was a great experience learning, okay, when you go over there, you got to be at least 2 touchdowns better than them. That's hard to do.
It is.
So it's just part of what you're going to deal with when you go to Alabama, man. They're going to get the home cooking. We know that, I'm not saying officials are cheating. I'm not saying that, but they are going to get the calls that are close. So that's just part of it, man. That's part of it. Second time we won the game, in 2018. I think Snoop Connor was the team game MVP. And, of course, last year, Ryan Williams showed us all who he was and why he was able to reclassify. And he's doing the same thing at Alabama this year.
Yeah, the first time I saw the game was in, I believe it was in Mobile. It was Ladd Stadium, and they had a running back named Cadillac.
Yeah.
And they also had 5 guys wearing striped shirts who were on their team too. I remember that too.
Uh-huh. Yeah, they always bring it. I mean, you got to give them credit. But I like our team. I was looking down the roster before this phone call this morning. I really like our team, and I'm sure you do too.
Yeah, I do. Like I said, I think our staff did a great job of looking at film, evaluating guys, and getting the guys that we felt like was going to give us the best opportunity to go over there and win one football game. And that's why I tell guys, when you're coaching this game, man, you can't take guys based off what they're going to be 2-3 years from now. Because you look at some of those guys, they're going to be developing in 2-3 years. They're going to be big-time college football players going to the NFL. But right now, we want to take the best 42 high school football players that we thought would go win one football game. So, you look at the roster, well, they didn't take that kid, and he's one of the top prospects, And if he goes to Alabama or Mississippi State, they're going to develop him in the next 2 or 3 years. Well, we don't have time to develop guys. We got to go win one football game. So we kept that in the front of our mind. So some of those guys, they are big-time prospects, may not be on the list. They're going to be developmental guys that, they'll get to wherever they're going and they'll get developed. And they'll look back and say, man, that guy wasn't even on the Miss-Al team. Well, he wasn't who he was 3 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So it happens every year, and then you take a guy like a Gardner Minshew, that didn't play in the Miss-Al game, played the North-South game, and he's been in the NFL for a while now. So, it happens every year. You're going to always miss on some guys, but you do the best job you can evaluating and taking the guys you think are going to give you the best chance to go win one football game.
Yeah, I used him as an example talking to a kid that was upset he made the Bernard Blackwell game but didn't make the miss. I was like, man, look. It's like Gardner Minshew didn't play he's been in the league for years. So,
right.
Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to be with us this morning, Tony, and best of luck to you this week against Terry. What's going to be leave us with what's going to be key for you guys down the stretch to do what you ultimately want to do.
Well, I think, staying healthy is first and foremost. We got to keep our guys healthy and, we got to continue to get better each and every week, and we want to peak at the right time. So I think that's key to it for us. And I've stressed to our coaching staff and to our players over the last couple of weeks, man. When you get to this point of the season, man, there's some things that are going to be truly important to winning and losing every Friday night. Obviously, ball security and taking care of the football, winning turnover battle. But, ultimately, I think football, even though it's changed a lot, it still boils down to blocking and tackling. So fundamentals, trusting your technique, and, playing with great effort, and teams that are the most disciplined probably going to get themselves the best chance to advance this time of the year. So those are 4 things that we really harp on, for our guys, man. Let's trust our fundamentals. Let's trust our technique. Let's play with great effort, and let's be disciplined in everything we do. and we think we give ourselves a chance to win each and every week. And obviously, there's some really good teams in South Mississippi that, we got to go up against, before it's things all said and done.
If I were you, I'd send that left tackle out for the opening coin toss. just for the intimidation factor.
Tell you what, man, he's a load to look up at, man. He walks in and, just as good a kid you'll meet too, man. Just a great kid he is, man. And, his name is Omarion Breland, Rick, so I'm going to try to help you remember his name.
Omarion Breland.
But he's one of those kids that didn't make the team, neither team. He didn't make either team, so, but that's just how good of players there are in the state of Mississippi.
He isn't in the Bernard Blackwell game?
No, sir. He didn't make either one. But, he's a guy that, again, he'll get somewhere. In the next year or two, he'll get developed and he'll have a chance probably to play on Sunday.
My goodness.
Well, again, we appreciate your time, Tony. I know you're a busy guy. Best of luck this weekend, and we'll catch up with you hopefully down the road.
Thanks. I appreciate y'all having me.
A special thanks again to Tony for joining us. Dad, what a good guy.
He's a hell of a football coach. He's a really good football coach. And all you have to do is talk to coaches around the state to learn that.
Yeah.
You watch his team, and that's a pretty good indication, but then you talk to other coaches who will tell you he's one of the very best in the state.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed one thing he said that I wanted to mention to you was he's talking about the parents keeping their kids at Hattiesburg when they could go elsewhere because people pick up and move now. A lot of that has to do with Hattiesburg and Toby Barker and what's happening there. I mean, I'm just telling you, like, Hattiesburg's got momentum, and it's spilled over into everything.
Yeah, as I say, I was down there for homecoming weekend, and, yeah, there's a lot of good things happening in Hattiesburg and at Hattiesburg High. I mean, they got it going.
Yeah. Well, excited to see what they can do against Terry and then on into the playoffs. I know they got a tough road to hoe down there now that they're in the same classification with, say, Picayune, Pascagoula, those teams. So we're excited to see how the Tigers play out this season, and we appreciate everybody tuning in this week. Dad, you looking forward to anything this next week? What are you excited about?
I'm excited. The Ole Miss-Arkansas game is going to be a good one.
That's what I was going to say. I've got it circled since all of the rest of the teams in my orbit are just not doing very well. I've got that highlighted. I hope they don't overlook Arkansas because it's going to be a dogfight.
Yeah, and I wanted to go back just a second to last week's guest, Mo Williams, and I thought it was one of our most entertaining pods that we've had. And then, they went down to Hattiesburg last night, led by 15 over Southern at halftime, and finally got beat in overtime. But Mo's going to get it done at Jackson State.
I think so, too. Anybody who hadn't listened to that, go back and listen to last week's pod. One of our best interviews, as Rick said. But that's all the time we got this week, Dad. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Y'all have a good one out there, and stay safe this weekend.